$35 million. $35 million is the total grand prize for winning the world race, distributed across 7 people for a total of $5 million each. $5 million is a life-changing amount for just about anyone. But what happened to all that money? Where did it go? We never see this in Acceleracers, but we see it received in World Race. So what happened? For some reason there is always the darkest, worst scenario possible, and this time that involves Kadeem and Vert. If you happen to have forgotten, although Vert was the person that won the World Race, receiving $5 million, he gave his sum to Kadeem. Because character development, because Kadeem and his people were starving and fighting for resources. Kadeem's whose whole purpose was in the race was to win that money. But what if I told you no? Kadeem didn't give it to his people, but rather to Tesla.
You get everything straightened out back home?
My people will have to wait, because this cannot.
This seems like Kadeem never was able to help, and even if he was, it was for a very minimal amount of time, and probably didn't even contribute money to them because of Tesla. Tesla? What does Tesla have to do with anything? Well, given that Tesla is literally the most selfish person in the series, it's not out of reason that he convinced Kadeem to give the money back to him to help fund the Acceleracers. Since it is likely Tesla went rogue from the Silencers after the world race, his main source of funding would be cut, and thus he would need extra money to keep himself afloat. Knowing that Kadeem has and always will fight for the right cause, the bigger problem to save humanity, that is exactly why Kadeem would give the money back, since he is the most morally correct than anyone in the series. In fact, that is the reason why most of the other drivers came back to race for Tesla, to save the world despite the way that they were treated. Plus, time was of the essence. Tesla probably portrayed himself as desperate, and what can you do when someone is desperate? You have to lend a helping hand. It is likely that though Kadeem gave his money to Tesla, he still sent the majority of it to his people. So that money would obviously go into livestock programs, education, drought resistance, housing, farming, and irrigation. The problem with that though is that people's worst sides tend to come out in adversity, and thus certain individuals may decide to hoard out of scarcity, which is exactly why Kadeem needed to get back to his people more than just send money, which is the real reason his people had to wait. Like Kadeem, Lani would also have done the same thing. Second to Kadeem, Lani is generally a good person and probably the most second morally correct, and thus not only would she probably have given the money back to Tesla to fund the Acceleracers, but also pay back her debt from breaking the door in Tesla's cube. Plus, like the other drivers, she literally only wears one pair of clothes. Doesn't seem like she spent that money on herself. The next 2 characters are somewhat related in how they lost their money. Like Vert said,
Highway 35 is more than just a place to race, it's like a fire inside you.
those who didn't race for money raced to be the best in the world, or raced for experience. They didn't care about the money, although it would be nice. That is the exact reason why Alec would race.
Lonnie Tom, meet Alec Wood.
Wheels or waves, I'm the best.
The humble type, huh?
To appeal to his ego, and for Wild to either impress or beat Kurt and show his skills.
All I want is a chance. Let me prove what I can do.
Yeah, Alec would have spent money on the surfboards and skateboards, but what happened after the world race? He gets called in to race for Tesla again, getting lost in the realms, and so his money is just in a limbo, or he was tactically selected for his skill as well as to get his money by Tesla, and if and when he gets lost. As for Wild, it is highly likely that he illegally ran drugs or something along those lines for the rush it gave, to push his adrenaline and racing against time doing something illegal. Therefore, when he was caught and went to prison, his car was impounded as well as most of his assets, including the $5 million that he won. Since the world race was secluded and Tesla refused to help anyone after, it's highly likely that the police thought that this money was collected from those illegal activities and so justifiably confiscated it. The last few drivers are Finn Serpa, Felix Sharpie, and Fluke. Finn would have likely spent it more on hang gliders, rock climbing equipment, and investing it in gear, probably spending it to get more experiences. And as for Felix and Fluke, not much is known at all, although knowing how the Wave Rippers are, they would have probably done the same as Finn, spent the money on experiences, better recruitment, or just invested it. Anyway, that's the video, thanks for watching.